John Carmack, the ex-Meta employee who led Meta for the longest time in new technologies and games, has just responded to echovr Shutdown. For those of you who don't know, Ready at Dawn had actually made an announcement about echovr shutting down its doors on August 1st, 2023. And with everyone in the community experiencing the 5 stages of grief, all Meta did was just sit by and watch. People looked to Meta CTO for some answers on why this happened, as we were never really given a real answer. But the CTO never really gave us a clear answer. And now, one of the biggest figures in the VR space, John Carmack, has just given his statement on echovr Shutdown. Here's what it says. I reached out to Boz as soon as I heard about the end-of-life announcement for Echo. We've been over similar discussions in the past. I thought it was a mistake not to keep Oculus rooms running and port to Quest, and I thought it was a mistake to abandon all the Gear VR/Go content when my emulation layer worked for at least a good chunk of things. I believe in saving everything. Even if there is only 10,000 active users, destroying that user value should be avoided if possible. Your company suffers more harm when you take away something dear to a user than you gain and benefit by providing something equally valuable to them or others. User value is my #1 talking point by far, but focus is pretty high up there as well, and opportunity cost is a real thing. But I think there is a likely degree of motivated reasoning internally that tilts the table towards just kill it. But it is challenging to argue for alternatives, and I thought Boz's statement was honest and true. Boz gave the green light for releasing the Oculus Go root build that I had long agitated for. But after seeing how much internal effort was involved to make it happen, I almost felt bad about it. The constraints are just different in a company the size of Meta. I can make a case for several possible options. Drop to absolutely minimal support. Put a single developer in charge of maintaining it and doing what they can with the community. At ID Software, we had one guy managing Quake Live for a long time, and I think it was the right thing to do. This would almost certainly not earn out on a cost-benefit analysis for Echo, but a lot of people are spent on worse things. And despite me always harping about efficiency, I would consider it justified for the intangibles. Secondly, spin off the project. I suggested that they should see if anyone on the team wanted to leave Meta and take over the project. The team members can see the dashboards and make an evaluation on if there is any viable path for the game to support even one developer. There may be people internally that think the game development has been mismanaged, and there is a chance for a renaissance if different decisions are made. I suggested that they offer to sell the rights for $10K. Meta paid many millions of dollars to acquire Ready at Dawn, so that would be a bitter pill to swallow, but it would still be a net good for VR. Unfortunately, the process to spin off something is far from simple at Meta, and involves a lot of government oversight at this point. The problem with both of these options is that there may be nobody with the skills interested in doing that. Shepherding a project through its twilight years is not the playbook for a big tech career advancement. Game dev does have a different crowd, but there are lots of incentives once you're inside Meta that start changing people's thinking. They could slap an unsupported banner on it and just let it keep going until something dies rather than explicitly killing it. As things rot, there would be more and more petitions and agitation to have just one engineer go in and make a simple little fix for whatever breaks, and it could wind up being more net aminosity than just cleanly killing it. You could also open source the project. This would double as a good developer example, although Echo's codebase is very different than Unity, where most VR developers work. I never looked at the Echo codebase, but most large commercial codebases that have various things in them that are licensed rather than owned, so working around them can be a significant engineering task, and missing something can risk legal repercussions. So even putting out a non-functional partial dump is hazardous. A small developer can, in theory, just stick a license comment header on all the files and throw the project on GitHub, but this rarely happens, to my sorrow. The effort to do it at Meta, with all the legal and technical reviews, is much greater, and the hazards are much worse. While this is foremost a business problem, there are still technical plays that can help in the future, and I encourage everyone in and out of Meta to think about them. Keeping things alive takes work, is true at some level, but it is possible to build systems that run untouched for years and come up fine after a reboot. The default today may be a distributed mess of spaghetti, but that is a choice. A system that has been operating for years can take the path of evolving to greater robustness each time an issue manifests. Every game should make sure they still work at some level without central server support. Even when not looking at end-of-life concerns, being able to work when the internet is down is valuable. You can support some level of LAN play for a multiplayer game. The door is at least open for people to write proxies in the future. Supporting user-run servers as an option can actually save on hosting costs, and also opens up various community creative avenues. Be disciplined about your build processes and what you put in your source tree, so there is at least the possibility of making the project open source. Think twice before adding dependencies that you can't redistribute, and consider testing things with stubbed out versions of the things that you do use. Don't do things in your code that wouldn't be acceptable for the whole world to see. Most of game development is a panicky rush to make things stop falling apart long enough to ship, so it can be hard to dedicate time to a fundamental software engineer, but there is satisfaction to it, and it can pay off with less problematic late-stage development. And there you have it, folks, the full statement from John Carmack. It seems like mainly in his posts, he usually talks about how echovr has plenty of ways that it can stay up. And honestly, with peer-to-peer servers or user-generated servers or even just open sourcing the project, Meta is definitely dragging their feet here, and I think John Carmack definitely agrees with us. It's also very interesting to see how he actually has seen the petition and is openly supportive of it, and I'm sure many people are very excited to see where this goes in the future and the consequences it has for Meta. But what do you think about this? Let me know in the comment section below. So thank you for watching, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe with the notifications for more echovr news, and with that said, my name is Trentic, and I will be signing out. Peace.